This video series is all about lived experiences by local people for local people. Please be aware some of the topics talked about may trigger stress or anxiety. If you feel you need further help or support, please get in contact with us and we can point you in the right direction. Please, don't suffer in silence.
My name's Karen Gilbertson and my story is about mental health. Many years ago, when I had 3 young children, I was struggling with depression. I didn't know it at the time. I just knew I was so tired all the time. I was quite irritable, but I didn't feel ill. I didn't really know what depression was. But my health visitor picked up that things weren't right and had me see my GP and go to some groups, etc. Things kind of took off from there, and as I say, it dragged on. I just didn't feel great. Not to say that I didn't enjoy looking after the children or having fun with the children, I did. And I think my view, as a lot of people, is depression is you can't do anything, which isn't strictly true. It can be for some people, but for me it wasn't. I just ploughed on regardless. Eventually, I went to see a specialist, a psychiatrist, and she whipped me into Ridgely. And that was the first of many admissions over a lot of years. And in some ways, I had periods when I was better, and other ways, times I had periods when I just wasn't able to function. And it got to the point that I couldn't cope with my children. My marriage broke up, but fortunately I kept a reasonable relationship with my ex, and the boys eventually went to live with him. But I had them every weekend. They came home to me from school, so I had a lot of contact with them, which was great. But in myself, I wasn't able to cope with anything. I couldn't see the point of carrying on in many ways. I just wanted to be at home on my own and not bother with anybody. And that's really difficult when you've got a supportive family around, which I had. My parents were really supportive, but they actually didn't understand, and I probably didn't. I started self-harming, and I initially just a little bit of a scratch, and it got worse and worse and worse, and every time I did it, I hated myself for it. The reason I did it, because if you're in pain, then you can't think of anything else. If you think about when you've had a fall, or at that point, the only thing that matters is that hurt. And that's what it was like when I self-harmed. And it got to the point I tried to stop it healing up, because while it hurt, then my head didn't hurt with all the thoughts and feelings that I really didn't understand. And yeah, this went on for a long time. I was just over 30 when I first went into Ridgely, and I'm over 60 now. In 2011, I started volunteering with Citizens Advice, and that followed on from a programme called Mentalisation that was running, and that was I took part in. And that involved one-to-one sessions with a therapist every week and a group session every week. And that was for 18 months, and that was really hard. But towards the end of that period, I saw some posters for Citizens Advice. And after several months, it plucked up the courage to go and contact them. And to be honest, that's the best thing I ever did. I started being paid for just a few hours in 2015, and even 6 months before that, I would never ever have dreamt that I was capable of being paid for anything, let alone being wanted to do anything. And I think I learned from that being part of a team is actually really valuable, and can be more valuable than a really supportive family. Yes, the depression, the mental health problems probably wrecked my life in many ways. I've lost 20 years of my life, I feel as if I have. But I've learned a lot, I've gained a lot, and I've gained skills. When I was in hospital, I learned pottery, and to this day I still do it. I have my own kiln, and that's my escape. Over the years, I was diagnosed with depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, personality disorder, bipolar, although I have no idea where that came from. But a diagnosis is just a label. It's a label that might open doors, but that label doesn't change anything. It doesn't change from one day to the next how I felt. It doesn't change the tearing up that goes on inside you. But sooner or later you come through it. And there were times when I felt good. I was on medication and I felt good, and I would sign up for college because I was a bit of an odd one and loved learning and training. And that was great, but it didn't take me anywhere. And I think, at the moment I work for Tshirt Advice. I've got a stressful job, but I absolutely love it. And I think it's a lesson that you don't think it's something you'll never think you'll come through. And you're in the middle of it. If someone had told me that I would be earning money when I was in my 50s, I wouldn't have believed a word of it. But sooner or later, the right moment comes along. And I still struggle. I'm still on medication, and there are times when I know that I'm going to have a bad period, and I just ease off a little bit, and I can recognise it, and it's not severe. It's just a little fingertip now. So you can come through it. It's hard to see when you're in the middle of it, but sooner or later, and maybe it is going to be later, life will change. And hard as it has been, I've learned a lot about myself and about other people and about my friends. My friends talk to me, and you get there. Been there, come through, got the t-shirt. My advice would be to talk to somebody if you can, and not necessarily or only somebody close to you. Talk to anybody you feel comfortable talking to. Also, don't be afraid of taking medication. Antidepressants have got a really bad press, but they're there for a purpose, and you may need to be on them for years. I've tried to come off mine, and I know after 3 weeks that I need to go back on them. I've tried, and I have now accepted that I need that medication. If I had diabetes, I would be blinking an eye at taking insulin. So antidepressants or any other medications, they might not work straight away, there are different ones. So I would say please don't veer away from them or abuse them. But alongside that, talk to other people, talk to someone you trust, talk to your GP, talk to your family, and they together with you support you to go forward and find some support. It might be medical support, it might be agencies that can help you that aren't the NHS. Somebody out there will give you the support that you need. It's not the same for everybody. What works for me might not work for you. And stick with it. Sooner or later you'll come through it. You'll come through with a lot of experience and a lot of learning. And yes, you may have missed out on a lot of things, but you've gained things as well. So trust in yourself.